Hello, my name is Jesus, and I'm here with Blair, and welcome to Queerious. How are you, Blair?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to chat.
We are so glad to have you. So can you share your personal journey on like embracing your identity and like as a transgender man?
Mm-hmm. So I'm not a trans man, first of all.
Okay.
I am trans masculine.
Okay.
Identify as non-binary and trans as well. And but I do use he and they pronouns. I used to use just they pronouns, but decided to add he to make it a little bit easier on folks. And yeah, I'm from Alabama originally. I was not out then. I don't even know if I knew like what being trans was when I lived there. Mm-hmm. I went to college there at Auburn, and then pretty soon after, I moved out to Boulder, Colorado, for a design job. I graduated in graphic design. So, and then Boulder, I started coming into my gender identity and realizing that like being non-binary was a thing, and like the words for things.
Yeah.
So.
I was just transitioning to my next question. What are some challenges that you faced within like the LGBTQIA community or just in broader society?
Mm-hmm. I think I've been out for about over 10 years now, I think, and so pronoun stuff at first was really hard for me. It would really like affect me, like getting misgendered, and it still affects me, but I think I'm much more desensitized to that, and quicker to correct people, which thankfully in places like here, it's not as big of a deal as like say Alabama,
Right.
But I think, that and employment has been kind of a challenge as far as, inclusivity and sensitivity in the workplace to like trans issues. But I also feel kind of compelled to educate people, as like an older for, trans people considering suicide rates. But I just want younger folks to have it easier,
That's good. How has transitioning like impacted your relationship with family or like peers or your friends?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not in touch with my family in Alabama. And I hope to be eventually, but it was some space that I needed to take to like do some healing on my own, So I'm not, but I have so much chosen family here in the area, and we'll get together. I lived in Denver for over 10 years, and still have a lot of friends there and family there, and we'll do holidays there oftentimes. And I've taken holidays alone, especially Thanksgiving, because I'm not really wanting to celebrate it as, these days. But around the holidays, I'll usually make an effort to like connect with like chosen family and whatnot. So
okay, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is the importance of representation or visibility for trans individuals that like in the media or in politics, etc.? Any kind.
How is it important?
How is it important?
Yeah. Well, I often feel like I'm like the first trans person people have met,
Mm-hmm.
And so like in person,
Right.
And while that can be disconcerting, it's like if they've already had exposure via media, via a TV show or something, at least they like know what the word means, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think just exposure increases empathy, and I think, and having accurate exposure, not like cis people playing trans roles,
Right.
and trans people actually getting recognized for the roles that they're playing and doing really great at. So I think it's super, super important. It's just part of the cultural zeitgeist, the cultural conversation that we need to be a part of, like actively. So.
Okay. What advice would you give to like younger youths that are like struggling with transitioning or struggling in general with their identity?
Yeah. First of all, I would say anybody's welcome to come to me and talk about stuff. Like I'm a listening ear always, and we can bounce ideas off each other. But I would say, if you're not getting care and appreciation and respect at home, I understand there's like a nuance when it comes to paying the bills and having a place to sleep and stuff. So, I would never tell someone to come out if they have like repercussions, as in like getting kicked out of the house. But because I didn't face that because I came out later. But I did come out as queer in college, and thankfully, like I was still like funded by my parents at that point, and it was fine. But a lot of people don't have that luxury, So I would say first and foremost, stay safe. However, that is for you, If you feel safer coming out, say you're in high school or something, and folks feel safer, even though there is a risk that you might get kicked out of the house, like do it. I say follow your gut, I mean, it's a hard path, and we're each, making our own paths. But I think when I came out, it changed my life, and when I started especially like transitioning, physically, like it saved my life, So I think, there's a lot of harm that can come from staying in the closet,
Mm-hmm. What would you say to those parents that are not accepting of their child of like coming out, or like that would actually kick them out of the house for that?
Yeah. Well, I've heard this a lot. It's like kids saying, do you want as far as like transition goes, do you want an alive me that is transitioning, or a not alive me that didn't transition? Like you have two options oftentimes. And it's like, suicide rates are high for a lot of reasons, and a big one being parents not being accepting, and like if you truly love your kid, I think, you support them in doing things that are healthy for themselves, So I think, prioritizing healthiness and true love, that's what I would appeal to. And if the reason is religion or something, I would question them on the theology of their religion. Like I was raised evangelical. I'm not anymore, but if a Jesus ever did exist in my mind, they'd be totally hanging out with trans people, and like I think really, if reading the red letters of the Bible, if people really read those letters, like they would be accepting of trans people, So red letters as in what Jesus was saying,
Have you had like any experience with people who are in religion but also are like struggling with their identity at the same time and wanting to escape that?
Yeah, totally. And there's not to say it's not necessarily like one or the other, like there are really cool churches out there, but being from Alabama, like the Bible Belt, there weren't, that I knew of at that time, any churches that were LGBTQ like accepting. And so I forget the question though now that you were asking.
No, that's okay. You essentially answered
Okay.
what I was asking.
Cool.
In your opinion, how can society better the experience for affirm the experiences of transgender individuals?
That's like a very huge question, and I think I would need to break it down. I mean, I think governmental policies go a very long ways. Coming from Colorado, it's one of the best places for trans people as far as medical care, gender affirming care goes. I honestly still have health insurance in Colorado because of that. I think New Mexico, I was looking at a map earlier of like the states ranked the best for trans care and trans policies, and New Mexico isn't quite as good as Colorado in the scale, but it's one of the best in the country. So like, New Mexico is doing stuff, but I think to look to Colorado for LGBTQ related policies. One Colorado is a nonprofit that does a lot of work at the legislative level there. But yeah, safety in bathrooms, safety, whether it's puberty blockers or, gender affirming care related things. I think, there's no state that's doing it perfectly, but states can absolutely provide a model for the entire country. And I think places like here in Colorado are doing that. So it's cool to see.
Okay, well, that is all the questions that I have. Thank you so much for talking with me today, Blair. It's been an honor having you. And we shall see you in the next one.